Today we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake series. Obviously, Rebirth is coming up, and the excitement for that is through the roof. We got to talk about a potential release date for Part 3 after Hamaguchi made a statement during an interview. We're also going to be talking about the embargo lifting and the reviews going up, so the Metacritic score is in discussion as well. And we also have a huge year coming up for PlayStation in 2025, according to a reliable insider that has given us information in the past that has been accurate. Now, quickly, before we jump into all of this great, exciting news, go down to the like button. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and share the video as it goes a long way helping to grow this community. Now, let's talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. Yeah, that's right, Part 3. Square Enix's Naoki Hamaguchi has dropped a hint about the release date window for Final Fantasy VII Remake's Part 3. And it goes as far as this statement that's being made. In quotes, "Of course, I cannot tell you what stage we are at, but we have already made progress on the script, and we are thinking about certain developments. When we got to the end of development for Remake, we started talking about a sequel with writer Kazushige Nojima, and I think we can say that we are in the same situation today." So if that's to be believed, Hamaguchi's statement suggests that we're looking at an early 2028 release window. Mind you, there are different things to consider, like, is it going to be on PS5? Is it going to be a PS6 title? Is it going to be a cross-gen title? Is this game going to be vastly different from Rebirth? We don't know that. Are they going to reuse a lot of assets? Because that would make the most sense, is another discussion to be had. And so 2028 may be even further than what may actually happen. It may come earlier than 2028. It might be 2026 or 2027. Who knows? Because they have built most of the world up, and there's not a lot of the world left to build after Rebirth, knowing what we know. So it's looking pretty optimistic that we could be seeing Part 3 of FF7 Remake series earlier than the 4 years it took to get to Rebirth, because of the obvious of building the open world, which when you have most of it already built, it might not take as much time and as many resources. At least logically speaking, I don't think it would. Now, obviously, this is exciting, but I don't even want to get too deep into what Part 3 could hold because, well, Part 2 isn't even out yet, right? So we have to get our hands on this, experience it, and then we can go further into talks about Part 3. So while we're talking about Rebirth, we have to talk about the review embargoes lifting soon and that Metacritic score going up. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, I don't care about the Metacritic score. That's perfectly fine that you don't care, but developers oftentimes do, and oftentimes are treated differently based on what their Metacritic score is, whether they go by Metacritic itself or just the average review score that the company collects. So it is important to the developer, even if it isn't important to you specifically. But for the fun of it, I like to talk about what could possibly be the review score for this game. And when I think about the Metacritic averages and how we have a spectrum of like people who are super harsh on a game, super critical on a game, and then we have another side where they're just so optimistic, everything is perfect, everything is great, we obviously come to a middle ground as well. If I'm thinking of a range on the review scores, especially as far as Metacritic goes, I would think anywhere between an 89 to a 92 would be appropriate. And obviously the biggest thing that matters is that performance there? Is the story executed well? Are the side objectives varied enough? And are they enticing enough to continue exploring even after you've done a few of them? Like, there are a lot of things that are going to matter here in terms of this being an 89 or this being a 92 or maybe even higher. If those side objectives and those side tasks are very engaging and they're different and they're varied and they have a lot of deep story to it, I think that it would really help the game out, especially because they talk about getting inspiration from the Witcher series, which is one of those games that is known to have engaging side content, so much so it feels as engaging as the main campaign or the main quest of the game. So if they do that here, that is the difference between it being an 89 or 92 plus, as well as the gameplay. Is the gameplay smooth? As far as we know from the demo, yes, the gameplay is smooth. It's very, very optimistic on my end of things. But as a reviewer would look at it, how are they seeing these different things in terms of the fundamentals of what makes a great game? They're obviously going to be very critical in some cases. So performance is going to need to be great. Gameplay is going to need to be great. and that side content and that main story is going to need to be great. So if they hit all those things, I could see them hitting in the 90s. If not, if there are some missteps, I could see it being an 89. But I think the range will be anywhere between 89 to 92, at least in my opinion. Share your thoughts in the comments about what you think FF7 Rebirth could get on Metacritic. Even if you don't care, just throw a number out there. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Now, lastly, we're going to be talking about Sony's next year. 2025 is far off, obviously, right? And we heard recently through the financial stuff that, you know, they weren't going to have any major reoccurring or existing franchises have any releases, I believe, before April 2025. But good news is, industry insider Shinobi 602, who has leaked State of Play, who has leaked, I believe, a showcase, who has leaked information on PlayStation before, has some very interesting news. He says, sounds about right. Next year is when some of the big ones come in regards to Sony's first-party games. And then in response to somebody who's trying to say that he just means some, not a bunch, he says more than just two. If everything I'm aware of first-party wise ends up making it, it'll be a very, very big year. Of course, caveat that with modern game development, things can always get delayed, etc. So, very important here. Shinobi is telling you, hey, we are going to get more than just two games. Death Stranding 2 is slated for 2025, as far as I know. And if we're looking at more than just two, I would think Ghost of Tsushima 2 should be up next in 2025. We've obviously got Wolverine looking like a 2025 game as well. So it's very encouraging to see that at least 3 first-party games are going to be coming. And I know that Kojima is working on that Death Stranding 2, but the IP is owned by Sony, so I guess maybe you could call it a second-party game. But my point is that we are going to be seeing more PlayStation exclusives, and especially from the first party, which is the big concern here, as this year we don't have that many first-party games coming, and a lot of people are asking where are the first-party games, and of course, they just aren't ready at this point. So Concord drops this year as far as we know. Obviously, we just got Helldivers 2, a second-party game, and we have a ton of third-party exclusives coming, you know, Stellar Blade, FF7 Rebirth, Rise of Ronin. Like, it's crazy. We still have a lot of exclusives coming, but that first party is where people are asking, hey, where is it? And it's looking like 2025, if Shinobi is correct, is going to be the big year where we're going to see a ton of great first-party games that are going to be coming to the platform. Obviously, PS5 Pro is supposed to be coming this year as well, so it would be a good time after that, as well as we're going to get that extra performance and extra boost in frames and resolution and textures and all that great stuff. So it's looking like 2025 will be a big year for Sony if this is true. Now, that's all I have for you guys in today's video. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know about Part 3 of Remake. What are you thinking of the comments made by Hamaguchi? What do you think of the Metacritic score for Rebirth? And lastly, what are you thinking is happening in 2025 with PlayStation, especially given what Shinobi's saying, if he's to be believed? As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you did not enjoy the video, hit the dislike button. Subscribe if you're new, and share the video to keep the community informed. I thank you all for watching. Take care.